Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jolie, and today we're going to be talking about intercompany trade. This is one of my favorite topics because as an end user, I can remember when we were doing intercompany trade and we were having to export all the invoices out of D365 and import them into the buying company. So we're exporting out of the selling company and importing into the buying company, and it was a lot of manual work and a lot of reconciliation between the two companies to make sure the invoices were the same on both sides. So I'm going to show you this process in D365 with a slight twist. So what I've seen is there's a lot of videos on YouTube for intercompany trade, but I haven't seen the twist of what happens when we do need to credit a sales order, intercompany sales order, and cancel the lines on the PO of the buying company. Right now, there's controls around that, which is great, right? Because we don't want a purchase order being accidentally deleted. And then you have this disconnect between the selling company and the buying company. You want them always to have the control so that you know at month end when you're reconciling or when you run your intercompany aging that they'll always tie together. So that's what we're going to look at today is how to disconnect the purchase order and the sales order if we have to. So let's jump in. Remember the twist at the end that I was telling you about? Stay tuned. I'm going to walk through the entire intercompany trade process. There's a lot of great videos out there right now already on this, so I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on configuration, but I am going to show you how it works so that when the twist at the end happens, you'll know how amazing this functionality is. So we'll talk a lot about some of the amazing functionality in intercompany trade. So the first thing I want to do is go to the customer in my selling company. So all customers, and this is not my selling company. USFM is my buying company. USRT is my selling company. So let's go into the customer. I have remade this video a couple of times. So this is going to be the one. And there's different reasons why I've remade it. My sound didn't work a couple of times. It was just a lot of technical difficulties. So anybody who's creating YouTube videos, kudos to you. It's a lot of work, I know, and a lot of time. So kudos to you. Okay, so we've got our customer here, and we just want to go into the general tab under setup under intercompany. And this is where we set up that relationship, that trading relationship. So USRT is the selling company, USMF is my purchasing company. So I've already got these trading relationships set up. I'm not going to talk about the parameters except for a few I want to point out really quickly. Under purchase ordering policies, I am asking the system to bypass any workflows. This is, I think, really good that Microsoft put this there because really intercompany trade, we don't need it to go through any sort of approval process through the workflows. Also notice this allow price edit. So this is not toggled to yes. So keep that in mind if you do want your prices to be adjusted, then you could toggle this to allow. These are just syncs that happen between the sales order and the purchase order that you can set up. And then over on sales order policy, notice customer payment journal. What happens here is when the purchasing company makes a payment, the customer payment journal is automatically created. Those invoices are settled within that payment journal. And you could post this journal automatically because you know that is coming into your bank. So there's a lot of automation there. Additionally, if you don't know about your vendor payment automations, reach out to me because so essentially you can automate this entire process, right? You have this intercompany trade being automated, your vendor payment journal. So say you pay your intercompany payments every Friday. You can set up your automation to run a batch maybe at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning if you have a lot of invoices. And that way, when the payment clerk comes in to make the payments, the intercompany payments, the journal is already created. All of your invoices are already selected. And you can do whatever criteria if you want to do aged balances or if you want to do everything and you want to look pull all the vendors in my intercompany vendor group or specific vendors. I mean, there's a lot of functionality, but the main point I'm trying to get to is that if you're going in and selecting these invoices and taking the time to do that, you don't have to do that. Let's automate any process we can within D365, even if it saves you just 5 seconds or 10 seconds. That's 5 or 10 more seconds you can work on something else, right? There's a lot of automations in regards to that in the system. This one, post journal automatically. I don't want to post it automatically because I want to review it, but this is an option. In addition, sales order numbering. So if you're a company that wants to review your sales orders by intercompany trading partner, so mainly I want to see all my sales orders and I want my sales order numbering to be identified to what purchasing company I'm using, then this is how you would do that. You would change it to company plus original number. So what that's going to do is it's going to say my sales order number is going to be USMF, which is the purchasing company, plus the purchase order number is going to be my sales order number. Pretty cool. For this case, we're just going to do the original number here. I'm going to show you. I'm going to save this. And there's a lot more configuration. Not going to go into it here. We're going to go into sell and create a new sales order. Now your release products need to be in both. Need to have inventory. Let's do our site and warehouse. Price is there. Let's complete this order. And oh, it took me back into my customer. Let's go to all sales orders here. This last one is the one we're looking at. Let's pick and pack it. Or pick and register it in this case. Okay, so we're ready to invoice. Now, let me invoice this really quickly and show you how great this is. I do like intercompany trade. Again, I think I told you in the introduction, there's just so much manual work when I was an end user behind this. There's a lot of kinks to work out, but it can be worked out. Okay, so notice that my number here ends in 505, and the invoice date is the sales order date is invoice date is 8/18. Now, also notice on this invoice journal, my intercompany company ID, legal entity ID is here, as well as the intercompany purchase order. So it's going to be really easy for you to come into accounts receivable, go into your inquiries and reports under invoices, invoice journal, and see all, I'll just do that really quickly, all of your intercompany transactions here. If I say something like, is not quotation mark. So it's saying is not blank. Here are all my intercompany trading invoices. So it's a really easy way to see those very quickly. Okay, so now we have, let's go back into this sales order. And if we go into the general tab and we go into related orders, we have this related purchase order number 431. When I click in it, if I have the security roles, I can go into the legal entity, the purchasing legal entity through the sales order. Really nice. So here I have my warehouse I need to select. It's an approved status, but I need to confirm it. Prices are the same. I need to receive it. Now, this is the part that gets really neat. I do like intercompany trade because almost all companies have intercompany trade. Look at that number. Nowhere else does the system auto generate an invoice number and pending vendor invoices except for intercompany trade, right? Pulls in so always the two companies will be able to be easily reconciled. Auditors will probably love this. Notice my invoice date as well, automatically 8/18. I really don't have to do anything. Let me scoot this down. Yeah, I don't have to do anything except for update my match status. Notice my workflow is not activated because it's bypassed, because it's intercompany. Post this intercompany invoice. Now, again, here's my invoice journal. If I go into my invoice journal, here's that intercompany sales order, USRT. So anytime I can go into AP, go into inquiries and reports under invoice journal, and see the same thing I had seen on the selling customer as well. So I can come here and say, does not contain quotation mark, or no, is not quotation mark. And then this is going to show me all my intercompany invoices. So it's really nice. All right, so now we're in the purchasing company. Let's go ahead and go into the vendor payment journal. Remember, this can be automated to where when the vendor, when the AP manager or whoever's making the vendor payments comes in, this is already created for you. You would just essentially come in and review it. But for now, we're going to go ahead and do this manually. Okay, so we're going to select this. And again, this is even this click of selecting the bank account can be set up automatically. What I would recommend is having a vendor payment journal specifically for intercompany and assigned to this bank and this offset account bank. So that really there's really no user intervention other than a review process. So typically I would validate, but for time's sake, we're just going to post it. Now, what ends up happening in USRT? So let's go into USRT. When that payment post, accounts receivable, customer payment journal, this last, remember it ended in 505? If I go see how this invoice description says 505, the system automatically puts the invoice description. It is nice. If I go in and want to see the transactions that are settled, you can see that 505 is settled here by this check mark. It's so nice. So it settles all of those for you essentially. And again, we could have this customer pay be intercompany customer pay and assign the specific bank account here so that the bank account's automatically here. So it would post, we could post it all the way through, no manual, no user intervention. I mean, it's so nice. All right, so let me show you that little twist. So if we have a situation in the selling company, so let's go into our sales orders. And let's go to sales order number. I have one that I kind of put together. Nothing special, right? It's still Mason's Happy Place. And if we go to General tab under Related Orders, we're going to see this purchase order. And it's in a confirmed state, or it should be, right? Because hopefully you have a process that says if it's been approved, there's a batch job that runs and automatically takes those approved purchase orders to confirmed, right? Because you know that you can't create a vendor invoice. You can't pay a vendor unless the purchase order is in confirmed state. So remember, there's a batch job for that. There's a lot of automations that can happen. So no manual interventions in D365. I love it. It just keeps getting better too. Okay, so now we have this sales order that's invoiced. So I'm not going to credit the invoice for time's sake, but there might be a situation where you need to credit this invoice. And that means you need to cancel that purchase order. The problem is if this has already been invoiced, if this sales order has already been invoiced, but the purchase has not been invoiced, which could happen a lot, right? We need to go ahead and credit this. If we go into that related order, into that purchase order, it's in confirmed. If we go and try to cancel, we're going to get this notification. The sales order, intercompany sales order is being updated, and therefore you cannot add, change, or delete lines. But you need to cancel this order because it's not a good order anymore, right? So you would need to it hasn't been received either, which is perfect. If it had been received, you need to cancel the receipt, and then come into, it can be in your selling or buying company, it doesn't matter. And it's a little tricky where it's at. It's in procurement and sourcing, under periodic task, under cleanup. It's kind of hidden. Disconnect intercompany orders. Come in here, search for that, and you can select how you want. So maybe I want to do the sales order, and I know the sales order number is 012709. No, I take that back. It looks like I need to be in the purchase order. We'll do 430. Looks like you have to be in the company that you're actually looking for the order type. So USMF 430. I'm going to disconnect it from USRT, and there's that purchase order. All I hit is disconnect. Then I can come back into the purchase order and I can cancel. Very neat, very hidden little twist that will happen if you're using intercompany trade. So I didn't see any videos out there for that. Guys, I love creating these videos, but it does take a little bit of time, and I'm definitely working on some really big projects that will be rolled out. So as I get more time, I will definitely share more videos. I appreciate you watching, and as always, leave comments, anything you'd like to see, and have a great day. See you soon.